Good evening, my friends. I hope everyone's had a good weekend. Lots of meditation, lots of sitting. Is everyone doing okay? What was I thinking about? I was thinking about a lot of things, but I did think about something in particular. Hi, Catherine. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Or were you here? No, you weren't here last time. Everything okay? Going well with the meditation? There's been a lot of new people, a lot of Dutch people. There was an article in a Dutch magazine where an old friend of mine who did, so there's been quite a few. I've been quiet. Oh, that's okay. It's nice just to hang around sometimes. How's your meditation going? Is it going okay? I mean, if you want to share, you don't need to share if you don't want to, of course. Oh, you saw it. Nice. Do you speak Dutch, or did you do it translate with what do you call it? Google Translate? It's quite incredible. I mean, I remember when I was younger, if you wanted to read something in another language, you had to go somewhere, have someone translate for it. Much better. Oh, nice to hear. No, Google Translate. Yeah, I mean, that is you can literally translate, I think, pretty much any language on the planet into whatever language you can speak. I mean, that's pretty insane, and it's pretty good. I've done somewhere I do it from English to Swedish just to see, and it misses some of the points sometimes, and it sounds a little bit off, but it works well. I speak Spanish, English, Italian, but not Dutch. English and Italian, Spanish. Yeah, Spanish and Italian is a bit. I speak Swedish, English, and French. And French, I liked Italian. I actually started studying it, but because there's a lot of similarities. Of course, you know that if you speak Spanish and Italian. Beautiful languages. I like how, even though they're similar, there's like so much difference in the what would you call that? The feeling of the language. Hey Sue, nice to see you. We're just talking about languages, how different it is. We speak English at home, so in our family we speak English. But when I speak Swedish and English, it's really different, because Swedish it's so soft, it's very calm and soothing. It's kind of it's a very gentle language and beautiful. I like it. And then you have English, which is, I find it easier to express myself. There's more nuances, but I think that's also comes from me being used to talking about these things in English, and I've lived abroad for so many years. But then when you speak French, it's everything is so different. It's like sometimes it's poetry. They can say things that in other languages would just sound completely ridiculous, but in French it's like, oh my goodness, that's so beautiful. That's incredible, because it's just how the language is built. Kind of they just speak more emotionally. There's more feeling behind it, and it's more about beauty, and it's a very polite yeah, I'd say polite. It's a polite language. I speak a little Arabic, some Spanish, and just about get by in French. Oh, nice. Arabic. I always wanted to learn Arabic. I found it a really interesting language. Much harder than if you listen to French. I find Spanish is really heated. Italian, I love Italian also. It's also like really, how would I call Italian? I just think of Ferrari, like sports cars. They're really like fast in a different way. We used to say when we I was an exchange student twice in France, and we used to say that we went to Venice one time in Italy, and we took the train down there from Rouen, close to Paris where we lived. And we just went around and said like prego, 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 like you just say that to everything, and people just you can get by a lot with that. Catherine, Latin-based is easier to learn when English is first language. Yeah, that makes sense. Turkish also. Huh. I'm just gonna get my... Where is it? There, sorry. Let's see. The fan is blowing straight in my face. Yeah, languages are a lot of fun. Turkish is much harder for me. I've been to Turkey and I love the culture. I remember when we were there, everyone sat and drank tea in the streets and just played games. And I think it has to do with climate also. Here in Sweden, it's so cold, so we stay inside much more. Whereas when you go to warmer, the Mediterranean countries, they just used to sitting outside more and just socialize more. In Sri Lanka, where I spent a lot of time also, obviously, it's also you're outside much more. So they have smaller homes, but you spend more time outside. And I found that if you go to the southern parts of Europe, it's a really nice, outside vibe to it. Obviously, Turkey also really nice like that. Yeah, when I was younger, I wanted to learn like all the languages on the planet. I loved languages. I would want to learn more. I think my daughter's gonna have a really easy time. She speaks Swedish, English, and Dutch like fluently. It's insane, and she's 6. Crazy. She didn't even have to work for it. But language is it shows you a different way of expressing yourself because there are different emotions. And when I speak French, I feel different from when I speak Swedish or English. I'm not so good anymore in French, but I used to be fluent. And then it just feels different to express yourself in another language. And it's a really interesting experience. And when you go to that country and then speak that language, it's fun. By the way, since Sue is here and you've been asking me about the retreat, I've decided, and I've had some, since I've been home on sick leave for the neck, I've been thinking about what I want to do, and I've decided 2 things I'm going to do. So I will have, there will be a retreat, let's see, it's February now, so very likely April sometime, there will be a retreat, and I will make some kind of questionnaire or something to ask people what they actually want, because I'm not sure how long to make it and in what way to make it and what subject to cover. I have lots of ideas of what I would want to do, but we can discuss that more later when I kind of thought through it a bit more. But like some kind of structure, and maybe having it 2 days, you do it Saturday and Sunday for a few hours, and then like something you can practice with in between, or we do like a longer day one of the days. So there would be a retreat. Like I said, the topic I haven't decided yet. I've never done an online retreat. I've done like in-person retreats, and usually it'll be like a full day, and then I can take them on a journey. And I'm thinking, how can I? Hey, Nila, nice to see you. We're just talking about languages and now discussing that I'll be doing a retreat in April, February, March. Yeah, in April sometime there will be a retreat. And then I've done enough research, so I have a good concept of what the meditation course is going to be like. And I've decided I'm going to do, because I want people when they come to my channel, and like everything will be available on the channel. Like I will never hold anything back thinking I was going to be like behind a course. Like I'll just talk freely, but then the courses will be more structured, obviously, so it's easier to follow the red line and kind of pick up concepts easier. So that will be like the advantage of taking the course. So I will have, in my mind, I have 2 different courses. The first one I will do, it will be a meditation course, just like I've spoken, the ones of you that I have spoken to. Let's see, I have a note on the Plum Village app retreat from mid of last year. They set the day into 3 different chunks. Oh, that's interesting. I see you do 3 different sections throughout the day. That's also a good idea. There's also time zones, like who can join when. But then for the meditation course, there will be 1 meditation course, and I want it to be different than just like, because there's like a million meditation courses out there. There's a lot. I want it first of all to be focused towards what I call distortion and how to observe that, and that the main reason for meditating is to actually enjoy being here, enjoying your life, finding that feeling, I want to go over there because I believe there is going to be better than here. So I will bring up the basis of why we meditate, but then also bring up lots of the things that people we don't speak about so often, like concentration states, jhanas, and all these strange things that can happen, and talk about them from the perspective of not getting too lost in them, meaning that they're not really special and they don't change much unless you let them change. I mean, you can have the belief that it's something really special, but then you're going to miss the whole point, kind of. So like some of the pitfalls you can fall into, and some of the nuances and small details that we just generally don't talk about. And so if people do that course, no matter if they're like a complete beginner or if they meditated a lot, it will cover every subject you need to sit down and basically meditate. It would be the only thing you would need to meditate a whole lifetime if you really wanted to, because there's enough information so that you can kind of go through. When it becomes difficult, the things to think about, it won't go into super much detail about it, but it will be enough so that if you sit and you feel that one day everything feels absolutely amazing and you think you're enlightened, and then 2 days later it just goes and you crash and you feel like you're in hell and you think there's something wrong, then there's an explanation as to why there is not wrong. This is actually a really predictable behavior. There's lots of things and patterns and things we can see. So that will be the meditation call, of course. Hey, Nadja. It's all on YouTube. Oh, nice. I will check out Plum Village retreats. I know them. I mean, I know quite a few monks there, so I actually might give them a call. Early morning, mid-afternoon. Then there will be another course that I will do, not now, but that will probably be in maybe next year, because this is something that is still up in the air, kind of, because I haven't settled things down. One of the things that I like so much about having these evenings and talking to everyone and doing the videos and like doing coaching calls is that it forces me to find a structure to what it is that I do, and there are some really clear things that I can see now that I just couldn't see before. But for instance, I just released a video like earlier today that was from another evening when we sat here and talked, and I was like, oh yeah, that's exactly, because it came about after talking to someone about how they had listened to the video that I said the week before on, I think they were talking about, they were afraid they were pushing down their feelings and didn't feel them because feelings are distortions, and then so they were trying to push them down, and I said, well, actually the sense of you is it's in the feeling. The feeling is the you. And if you push it down, you're just going to repress it. It's still going to be there. So you have to actually feel your feelings. And we are very bad at that. We feel uncomfortable, or we feel ashamed. And then we don't let ourselves feel ashamed. Instead, we feel ashamed and then we take an action from that shame. Or we feel anger and we take action from that anger instead of feeling the anger, letting it pass, and then making a choice of what we're going to do. So things like that were just intuitive to me, but I never thought about how do I actually express that in words. So that's like a bigger thing that I'll be working on, but I simply don't have enough. I'm just not clear enough in my way of teaching it to be able to do that course, but that's something I want to do maybe a year or 2 or 3 from now, whenever I feel ready for it. But the first meditation course that I feel, absolutely, I know exactly how I would want to do that, so that's something I'll be starting on soon. And the way I will do it is that I will do I probably just do like 20 or 30 spots for the first version, and either there will be a discount on it, or I think what I actually want to do is that I'll do so that everyone does it, that takes the course from the beginning will just get an extra hour with me, like a coaching call included, and the course would probably be the same as the coaching call in price, so you basically get the course for free. So then you'll have the chance of taking the meditation course, and then you can ask me any question you want. And that will be also a way for me to see, okay, I need to adjust this and change this and make it clearer. So then I'll do a second revision later this year, I guess. Obviously, everyone who's gotten the first version will get that also. Let's see. So they have 2 YouTube. One is the app from the Lower Hamlet, and the Plum Village is from the Upper Hamlet, which is the one with the retreats on. Okay. Upper Hamlet was the place I stayed most of the time. That's where the monks stay. Then they have Lower and Middle Hamlet, which is for the nuns. Both all 3 are just beautiful places. I'm not familiar with their presence online. When I was there, it was not really a big thing. What they would do was that they recorded all the talks from Thich Nhat Hanh, and then they had an IT guy who basically just converted them to video format for internet, and then they uploaded them to YouTube, and I think they saved them maybe somewhere also. But yeah, they just every time he gave a talk, they would upload it, and I think they still do a lot of the talks that they upload them. But like I said, I have never done any of the online retreats with them, so that'll be a good place to watch. And it's like I said, I don't just want to do something for the sake of doing it. I actually want to figure out how do you how do you make it so that it's useful to do even if we're not in person? And I'm assuming Zoom would be the best way, where you can actually see each other. I mean, some people I've seen just basically like this, and then people get to write, but I would like it more. I haven't seen much for a few sessions. I hope it's okay. He was here... No, you're right. He hasn't been here for a little while. Just 2-3 times ago. I remember he said something. Oh yeah, he went on a... he was in a date, I think. He said that it was difficult or something like that. You're right, Nadja. Hopefully he'll drop by soon. What was I saying? Oh yeah, retreats. It's difficult because I'm not used to meeting people like that. I'm very used to meeting you like this, but I want it to be more personal, where we can actually look at each other and have a conversation. And how do we then do that? Because it could easily be, if there's 10 people or 15 people, then everyone will want to talk, and then we'll just talk the whole time. Or should we have more of a theme that we go through? Obviously I want to focus on distortions and how we can let those come up and see that there's nothing there. So one of the things I was thinking of could be social media addiction, or addiction to using your phone, or any kind of addiction. And there's the good thing about that is that it's very easy to see the distortion in that. So I'll have to find a topic to do the retreat about, and then work from there. Cool. Anyone have anything else I wanted to say before we sit? Oh no, I also started thinking about Mats. I wonder where he's at. Hopefully he's fine. Okay, so for those of you who are new, what we normally do is we sit and chat for a little bit before, and then after that, today is Monday, so we'll have a guided meditation today. But before that, we'll do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, which is a method for coming back to our senses and being aware of what we're experiencing. And we focus specifically on using our senses without the self getting in the way, so really trying to just see things as they are without the distortions of a self trying to interpret or get a relationship to everything. And after the sitting, then there's time for questions and answers. If anyone has any questions or anything comes up, then you're welcome to ask that after, unless it gets too late. So when we do this exercise, we try to say out aloud, like, so I will say 5 things around me that I can see, and I say, obviously you say what you see around you, but try to say it out loud, because it's not about just like crossing over the things that you do. It's actually about really stopping and seeing. So when I look at this one, this is a cloth that we use for wiping the bum of my son when he poops or pees. It's clean now. So when I look at this, I can see, so I could, if I would look at this from the story of what it is, I could go, ooh, is it clean? Like, is it dirty? Like, I could have that emotional reaction towards it. I know what it is, and some people might like, ew, I won't even touch that. But if we take that away and we really just look at what this is, what we'll see is that there's light. So I can see the shadows and the highlights. I can see the structure and the texture of the fabric, and I can see all these like crisscross patterns from the weaving. I can see this here, the colors. I can see the surfaces curving, and I can see that there's something solid there. So just looking and becoming interested in what you're seeing with your eyes, because we tend to just go, oh, I know what that is, and then we move on to the next thing. And I mean, if you ever watch shorts or YouTube also, unfortunately, it's a shame that they're making YouTube. I mean, I guess it's popular, so they want to make it, but it's really like this. Like, we can't even stop for 5 seconds to watch a story, and it has to move and change so quickly that it's very difficult to kind of calm down and just see what we see. So it's almost like all of internet is trying to just hijack your attention, like, all the time. Even for kids, like the kid shows that Netflix are showing, like, the colors are saturated to 1000. It's just so bright. The yellows aren't like yellow, like, well, this is maybe not really yellow, but some kind of brownish orange yellow. This is like a muted color, like in the cartoons, it's just like in your face. So it's difficult then to just watch something like this and appreciate, oh, look at how this white is actually really beautiful if you look at it. I mean, if you really take the time to look at this, and I don't mean like trying to see beauty and trying to like force something there, but just relaxing and just observing and saying like, oh, this is actually really interesting. I can see like all these little strands coming together, like it's been folded. I don't know if you can see this, but I can see how it's been folding. It's like crisscrossed. I can see the shadows of the edges. And I can really see how like there's a lot of stuff going on in this piece of cloth compared to having to have a super intensive movie where we have things happening the whole time. So it's a way of the opposite of desensitization. We're trying to synthesize. I don't know if I'm using the right word. We're trying to start using our senses again and actually be stimulated with just normal everyday things. I think, and that's why I wanted to do when I was talking about the retreat. One of the problems with dopamine is that we just keep hitting that like thing the whole time. So when we get to a place where it's just calm and just normal reality, there's no dopamine hits. So then we crave something to happen and we pick up our phone or we write an email or we watch a video or we try to do something because we're just not used to being calm. And this is a way to very quickly calm you down and be here. So I see this cloth. I actually see an astronomy telescope lying here. Lots of reflections in the tube. And the surface is glossy and there's like a sparkling color on it. I see a green little box. And if when you're looking at these things you get a reaction for some reason, maybe something, like I said, if there would be poop on this one, I'd be like, ooh, maybe like that. Like, don't feel like, oh man, I just failed, I shouldn't have felt that, I should be calm and no distortion. Like, no, that's what you're really trying to do here is feel that. It's not that we're trying to avoid our feelings, it's quite the opposite. We're trying to really be naked and feel our feelings. If I feel a relationship towards that box, because maybe there was a ring in there when I proposed to my fiance or something, instead of feeling like, oh, I shouldn't feel that, then you just let that feeling come. And we don't express it, but we also don't repress it. We don't try to push it down and not feeling. We're just trying to let our emotions come up and feelings come up. And you'll see that it's just things coming and going. They're not, we tend to feel that feeling and then we take action from uncomfortable or comfortable feelings. So you're trying to just see it as it is. And what happens when you really do that is that reality. Maybe that's part of that goes together with what I was saying about dopamine. When you're being hit with dopamine the whole time, actually enjoying just sitting still is very difficult because your mind craves that like intensive stimuli. It's the same thing with when we're looking around us. If you're able to watch things without having a strong sense of self that needs to relate to everything, I like, I don't like, this is not that, and like you can just observe things as they are. The world is really beautiful. It's like there's a saying like the kingdom of heaven is like all around us, whatever it is. I say like that. That's really what it feels like. It's and I don't mean that kingdom of heaven. Maybe that's the wrong word. It's more that the world is sparkling and beautiful and completely fulfilling just by you using your senses wherever you are. It's just beautiful to use your senses. Granted, some things are uncomfortable and difficult, that will still apply, but using your senses is still an enjoyable process. There was a long-winded way to say that I saw a green box. I also see a box of screwdrivers and bits. I see a speaker. So five things that I could see. Next it takes 4 things that I can feel. So I can feel the cloth and the fabric. And we're trying to feel like, is there a difference when I come here to the edge? It can be interesting to actually close your eyes and really feel what does it feel like, because when you're looking it tends to take over and you start having a concept of what it is and you start relating to it immediately. But when you don't have that, it's more fresh, it's more clean to feel something. I can feel the cylinder of my thermos. Very different from the cloth. It's a bit cold, gets warm very quickly when I hold it. Oh wow, it gets really warm as soon as I hold it a bit. There's these stickers my kids put on it, some ants, a butterfly, and I can feel them when I run over it. And I feel the edge of the stickers, and also a difference in texture when I run over it. I can feel tea running down my throat. Also a very interesting experience. We tend to just drink and like taste a little bit here, or people who get overly spiritual try to really like breathe and like be too much with it. Everything we do here, we're trying to do in a relaxed way. We're trying to not be, I want to feel something. It's more you get out of the way and you see what you feel. Same as when we meditate, we don't try to make the breath do anything. We just let the breath happen. I can feel one of these little pills for my throat. And I can feel it sparkling in my mouth. A really interesting sensation. This goes together well with the analogy of dopamine, that we get so stimulated the whole time that when we calm down and we're not being bombarded, it's difficult to enjoy just sitting still. This is kind of similar. If this would be my normal, in comparison to watching social media, it's like a sparkly and it's like feeling all this stuff. It's not unpleasant. It's a bit overwhelming almost. But if I keep doing this the whole time, when I stop eating this pill, I'll be like, well, it's so boring. There's nothing happening. And that's kind of what happens with stimulation of our senses. When we calm it down, it's like, oh, I need so much more. So here we're trying to actually stop and be aware of what we're feeling. And sometimes you'll be doing this and you're like, wow, well, I was feeling, okay, so I can really feel this fabric, and like, oh, that's so interesting. And you can just sit, and you can sit like this for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. It's just like, that's really interesting. There's no need to go and do anything else. It's just doing this is enjoyable. Doesn't mean you have to do only that, but you don't need to do anything else unless you feel like it. Sometimes it will be like that, and other times it will be like this, and it's like, oh, I can't feel anything different. I'm just like, I'm doing this, and I know that there's something else there. Why is it not there now? And then if you try to get to that other place, that will in and of itself make it impossible to get there. And when I say try, I mean push. It doesn't mean you can't actually lean towards that direction. You can have a direction with where you want to go. In other words, I can feel this and I can know, like, oh, I know there is a different way of feeling this and of experiencing this. And when just thinking about that can bring that up. But if you think about that and start feeling longing, oh, I wish it was like that. I'm not happy now, just sitting here. I want to be over there where it's nice to feel the baton. That's where I want to get to. Then that's going to make it impossible to feel the baton that way. If that makes sense. Next we have hearing. 3 things that we can hear. I hear engine sound of a car that was braking with the engine. I can hear a very slow that I think is the heater's fan just circulating a little bit of air for the thermometer. I can hear my neck crackling, popping, yeah. Those were 3 things that I could hear. Next we take two things that we can smell. I smell washing detergent. And I smell a citron, sorry, lemon flavor. Finally, we take one thing that we can taste. For me, that's almost difficult now because it's really overpoweringly strong taste of lemon in my mouth. So for this meditation, we will be focusing on our breath. And I want you to just start moving your awareness towards your breath. Just start becoming aware of breath happening inside of you as you're breathing in and breathing out. Now, one of the few things that we are able to notice about ourselves continuously throughout our life, and this should never stop unless you're dead, is your breath. You can temporarily hold your breath, you can calm your breath, you can speed up your breath, but the breath is always going to be there throughout your life, except for short periods where you intentionally or unintentionally slow it down or speed it up. So that's why it's such an incredible object to use for our meditation. Another part as to why observing our breath is so useful is that there's two ways that you can use the breath for observing what's happening inside of you. Actually, one way of using it is that you can observe what's happening inside of you. If you are stressed, or if you see someone who is stressed, you can see it in how they're breathing. If they're panicking, they will breathe a certain way. If they're very calm, they will breathe another way. And when you observe your breath for a long period of time, you'll get more used to seeing what the breath is doing and how that relates to your emotional state. So by sitting here in a controlled environment and just observing your breath going in and going out, you'll start to learn to be comfortable with observing your breath. You'll get familiar with your breath and see how it changes with your moods, with the feeling you have inside of you, or with the stress you have around you in your life. You'll get more comfortable with seeing what it does. Now, the flip side of that is that you can actually control your mood with your breath. So it goes both ways. You can use it as an indicator, but you can also, by intentionally slowing down your breath, or just by focusing on your breath, you will slow down your breath. And when you do that, you will also calm down. Which is why the breath is such a useful object to use, because if you would focus on, say, a flame in front of you, which is a popular thing to do. There's like all these practices called fire kasinas and all things you can do where you observe light. And that can be really interesting to do and can create some spectacular results. But the breath, first of all, you don't always have a candle with you. And secondly, the breath is more tightly tied to what's going on inside of you. So if you start being comfortable with observing your breath, you can actually, and being attentive to your breath, you can actually become aware of distortions that you didn't even notice were there. You might be having a conversation with someone and all of a sudden you notice, hey, wait a minute, I'm having a hard time breathing. I'm almost holding my breath, or I have to forcibly breathe in and breathe out, and it's tense and something going on. There's anger there. I didn't even notice that, but then observing the breath can help you do that. So the breath has many uses. And as I said, when we do this kind of meditation, we're not trying to control it. This is not breath work, which is a really interesting practice, but that's not what we're doing here. Instead, we're trying to get out of the way and just let breath happen by itself and see what it does. Now, to make that a little bit easier, we will be counting our breaths from 1 to 8, and then down again from 8 to 1. And an important point is that when we count the breath, the cycle of the breath will be you breathe in, and there's a short turnaround at the top, and it goes out again, and then there's a pause. And what I noticed when I was sitting a lot was that I kept drifting off into my thoughts, and where that happened would pretty much always be in that pause. That's where the mind drifts away, because then there's no physical sensation to focus your attention on. And so then the mind defaults back to being caught up in your thoughts. That's why we go in, out, 1. So you wait for it, and you feel it, you observe the stillness, and then you put the number there. That will make it much easier to stay aware of your breath. So I will do it together with you once. And you can hear me breathing, and I do that just to show that I'm breathing in and out, but actually just let your breath do whatever it's doing. So breathing in and out. 1. In and out. 2. In and out. 3. In and out. 4. In and out. 5. In and out. 6. In and out. 7. In and out. 8. In and out. 7. In and out. 6. In and out. 5. In and out. 4. In and out. 3. In and out. 2. In and out. 1. Now keep counting your breath from 1 to 8, and then down again from 8 to 1. As you breathe in and out. 1. In and out. as you're sitting and observing your breath, notice if there's a underlying feeling, distortion, an underlying pressure that you're feeling. Maybe your thoughts are drawn towards something that happened before, something you're worried about is going to happen after this. Or maybe it's just general anxiety or worry and fear. If that is something that's going on inside of you and it's not just clean breath going in and out, then try to, while using your breath as an anchor, widen your awareness. Make your awareness wider so you're aware of the whole field of your upper torso and your upper body. Maybe even all the way down to your toes and the top of your head. And just feel your whole body as a field. And then try to not contract, not get tensed, not have resistance, but instead feeling naked, feeling open, feeling defenseless, feeling young, fresh, open, non-resistant to whatever that feeling is. And if you're able to do that, and you will, as you just practice moving around and moving your awareness, shifting your focus, seeing what happens inside of you as it's churning and moving around. If you just loosen up that tension that you have towards whatever it is that you're thinking about or that's coming up, you will notice that when you're able to do that, it just disappears. It just disappears, like it was never there. And then you think, oh, I forgot about it. I wasn't really paying attention. No, it didn't really work because actually I felt bad. I just need to find, oh, there it is. Okay, I can feel it again. Yep, there's anxiety. Okay, I can feel it. I'm being anxious. I'm worried. Okay, yep. And then you observe it some more, and then you are able to let that emotion come up, feeling that distortion just bubble up inside of you without you resisting it. And you'll see that there's nothing there. It's just a distortion trying to move you to take an action. It's the conditioning from whatever your upbringing was and from whatever society told you is right or wrong, what you're supposed to do. It will make you feel comfortable or uncomfortable, and based on that you will take action. If you have problems with overeating or eating snacks, this is such a good exercise because you will see that you're not actually hungry. In fact, it's an uncomfortable feeling that you have gotten used to getting rid of by taking a snack. And if you don't resist it, you will feel that it comes and it goes, and there was never anything there except the resistance that you created. So just bring your awareness out into all of your body and see if there's anything other than openness, lightness, non-resistance. Then let that distortion come up and don't resist it. Don't be afraid. We're all sitting here together holding space for each other. And if it gets too difficult, then just open your eyes and we can talk about it afterwards. But for now, keep a wide sense of awareness and observe your breath as you're breathing in and out. 1. In and out. If you find yourself overwhelmed because you can't just let those distortions come up, you keep resisting, or when you observe them, they just get worse. It's important to have a kind attitude towards yourself. Be forgiving, as if though you're observing a child who's walking. You wouldn't go up and start yelling at them because they couldn't walk. Just give it time. This is something that will take a long time. It's not something you're supposed to get immediately, and even if you would, there would still be loads of work left. So a better attitude to have towards practicing is just, whatever happens, happens, and I will just move in the direction that I've chosen, and we'll see what happens. And the only thing you need to do is just keep on coming back, over and over and over, to observing your breath. When you get familiar with that, start absorbing your distortions, your feelings, and just let them be. Allow them to wash over you without resisting life. Feel free to keep on sitting if you want to, or open your eyes and look around. When you do, try keeping that open awareness without the resistance as you're opening your eyes again. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. I'd be really interested in hearing how people found it to just allow, if you had that uncomfortable general anxiety or general uncomfortableness, needing to go somewhere else. What happened when you didn't resist that? Was there anything left? See, Mindful Mama, good evening everyone. Joining the party a little late after being home late. Bringing the kids to bed and prepare for another day of work tomorrow. Happy I don't work full time. It's a rat race. Yeah, I know the feeling, unfortunately. Oh, hey Jack. I'm not sure if I said hi to you, but I just saw your note now. It's interesting when you really start feeling what's happening inside of you, how you'll notice that we are so afraid of ourselves. We're so afraid of feeling what's going on. Jack, hot mead can keep the chill of the winter away. Yes, it can. It's the same thing when we feel insecure around other people, or we feel worried about what other people will think about us. If you would just look at that feeling and allow that to come up, it's just a distortion. It will just come up, and when you observe it and you really allow yourself to feel, oh my goodness, I might be rejected here, and not take action, but also not pushing it down, then you will be free. I really believe that liberation is a much better word than enlightenment, because enlightenment tends to have the way it's used, and I think even the meaning in English language is like, I get something fully and deeply understand it. I am enlightened. I now understand what you mean by that. And that's not really, I mean, there is a part of that, but that's not the main point. It's not that you understand this. It's that you're free. You're liberated. You're no longer being controlled by this thing pushing and pulling you everywhere. You're just open to experiencing reality as it is. You don't have that sense of self that is constantly needing to be validated, needed to be seen a certain way, needed to have attention or to not have attention, or afraid of doing things, or feeling that they're not worthy of whatever it is that you want. It's an interesting experience when you really start seeing this and going like, oh my goodness, I thought I was making the choices here. If you've read Eckhart Tolle, he talks about the pain body, and that's basically the same thing. It's almost like a separate entity that's having all these things it's making you do because it makes you feel uncomfortable or comfortable. Jack, I don't know if you have noticed, but you have gotten pretty deep in the Buddhist domain in the recent videos. Is it nostalgia getting to you, or recent endeavors? I don't think I am. Maybe I have, or dogma, if you will. The things I'm talking about is not philosophy. This is simply what happens. It's a description of what happens when you observe those things, and then of course the problem is trying to describe those things, because it's difficult to describe something that we're not used to talking about. We had a discussion the other day about the expression, what makes you happy? And it's the assumption that it's something that is supposed to make you feel one thing, meaning that if I just do this, then I will be happy. And like we said, it's not to say that some things don't make it easier for you to enjoy doing them because you find them more enjoyable, or they're more aligned with what you want to do. But it's still the assumption that it's something on the outside supposed to make us feel good. So when we flip that and we say, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't have to be like that. That can take some time to getting adjusted to. And for me, I mean, maybe Buddhism says that as well. Do they? Yeah. Well, it seems like everyone is calm and relaxed, hopefully. So, unless there's any more questions, I think we'll call it a day. And for the rest of the week, really, it might seem simple or ridiculous or just like nonsensical, but really just try this for this week. Really try to walk around and see what happens if you're really aware of what's coming up. Hey JVB, we're just about to finish. If you're really aware of what's coming up and the feelings that you have towards things, and how that pressure is making you do things. When you walk by someone and you feel, oh, I shouldn't take up space, where you walk by something like, oh, I want that thing or that person, and then you observe that feeling that comes up, and instead of actually feeling it and allowing yourself to experience what you have inside of you, we tense up and we take and move ourselves in a direction where we believe that if I could just get over there, then my life will be better. So thank you, Martin. Have a good week, everyone. Thank you, Sue. And I wish everyone a really good week, and I'll see you again on Thursday.